Welcome to our vacation. This is our Wonder of the Seas vacation that Cathy and I took back in September of 2023. We've enjoyed it. We had a great time with it. In fact, as you look now, take a quick look here and see one of our first pictures. This was taken at the Austin airport. We had just arrived from Phoenix. We only had like 10 or 15 minutes between flights, but we did find time to sit down and smile for the camera. This was Cathy at breakfast the day before we got on the cruise. They had a nice breakfast. We stayed at a Country Inn and Suites in Port Canaveral, which is just up the road from where they actually launch all the spacecraft at Kennedy Space Center. In fact, we were going to Kennedy Space Center right after we finished this breakfast. Show you more of that here in a minute. Okay, I know you really can't see this very well, but that white thing that's kind of sticking up in the background, that's a ship. That's really the port. This is taken from our hotel room looking toward the port. So that's not the ship we were on. That's coming up a little bit later. So this is the picture of our ship from our hotel room. This is like only the second time ever that we've been able to take a picture of our ship from the hotel room. That's it in the distance there. Wonder of the Seas. It's a big, big ship. In fact, it's the world's largest cruise ship when we went on it. Now, it won't become January of 24 when Icon of the Seas hits, but it is right now. And that's a picture from our hotel room of our ship waiting for us. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. The cruise started on Sunday. This is still Saturday. So let's go back to Saturday. Cathy and I took an Uber to Kennedy Space Center. This has been a lifelong dream of mine. I've wanted to see Kennedy Space Center since I was a little kid. I watched the Mercury, I watched the Gemini, I watched the Apollo programs, and to be standing here, and these are rockets that you see here. There are some that are Mercury Redstone, there are some that are bigger, some that took Gemini, and some that even took Apollo. We're going to show you that here in a little bit. But these are rockets in what they call the rocket garden. Now, the first thing, if you ever visit Kennedy Space Center, the first thing you want to do is get in line for the bus tours, because those bus tours, the lines get very long, and the bus takes you to the Saturn V, where the Saturn V rockets are. Those are the rockets that actually took the men to the moon, and that's a separate building a few miles away, actually. It's a huge complex. While we were waiting, we waited in this covered area. It was a cloudy day. And you see the space shuttle, or the space capsule. That is the Orion space capsule. That is the new space capsule that they're going to actually take when they send men to the moon. That is the new version of Apollo 11, 12, not 13 because they had their problems, but 14 and on up. Now, as you can see here, this is the world's largest NASA space, Kennedy Space Center, gift shop. It says it's the world's largest. And of course, we were waiting in line right across the street from that, or right across the alleyway there from it, and waiting for the bus tour to begin. This was actually a long slog to the buses, but we wanted to get there early. So in the afternoon, those bus tours, I mean, you could stand in line for 1, maybe 2 hours just to get on a bus. Cathy, in the meantime, she was a little bit already tired early in the morning, but nonetheless, what a trooper. She got on the bus, and this is her on the bus, looking forward to having a good time. In fact, it was a packed bus. We were on, I think, on the very first bus that left the Kennedy Space Center visitor area to go to the Saturn area. On our way, this is what they call the VAP, the Vehicle Assembly Building. This is that real tall building. In fact, it's the world's largest single-story building in existence. It is the world's largest. Those red stripes on the American flag are 8 feet wide. You could almost, well, you could play an NBA basketball game on the blue field where the stars are. That's huge. And that bus, or the driver was giving us all the statistics of the flag and everything else. That's a pretty big building. It's really, really tall. If you look through the window there, and you see that kind of horizontal shaped thing, that looks like a transformer that hasn't really transformed yet. That is what they call the crawler. That is what they put the spaceship on when they move it from the vehicle assembly building to the launch pad. That's where it blasts off from. And that thing rolls at about 1 mile an hour down the road. They actually have certain roads that they've built for this thing because it is so heavy that it has to go at a very, very slow speed. And those tires, or those the tank treads that they have to replace those things constantly because of the weight of the rocket on board that crawler. Who in their right mind would take a picture of grandstands from behind the grandstand? Well, I did. Those are the grandstands that they open up. In fact, they opened them up the day after we were there for a launch. SpaceX put a launch up the day after we were there, and that's where the people sit to watch it. It's actually about a mile away. You don't want to get any closer than that because the roar of the thunder could actually kill you if you were much closer than what they have right there. You can't even see the launch pad hardly. So here we are inside the Saturn V rocket building. What you're looking at is actually an Apollo capsule and command module. This was really something kind of cool. I followed this when I was a kid. I stayed home from school to watch this stuff. It really was absolutely fascinating. In fact, there's Cathy, not really as excited as I was, but you can see right above her head, that's the Saturn V rocket laying on its end, and it goes the entire length of this building. It is absolutely huge. Yes, if you are a conspiracy theorist and you believe for a minute that there is a staged landing of the moon, this would have been it. This was the actual lunar module that they had, and actually, it's not the same one because that's still on the moon. But they put a mock-up for you that shows that what it was like. And if they, I guess, they would have made it a conspiracy theory, they could have made it look like this. What Cathy's standing in front of here is Apollo 8, the Apollo module that James Lovell flew in back in the day. And this is on display. Can't get close to it, but she's standing there right next to the Apollo 8 capsule. Right outside, we have this amazing rocket. And if you look at this, the two white things are the actual rockets. The orange in the middle is the actual fuel tank to the rocket. And then you have to go inside to actually see the space shuttle. And there it is. That is Atlantis, the actual Atlantis that flew in the space shuttle program. That is a huge space shuttle, believe it or not. Unbelievable. And it has a cargo bay, and that's it right there, that is absolutely unbelievably big. I mean, this takes up probably a football field just for the shuttle itself. Incredible. And this is the Hubble telescope, or a mock-up of it. This isn't Obviously, it isn't the actual Hubble telescope since that's in outer space right now, but this is a good mock-up of it that they've got on display. After getting back to the hotel, getting our stuff around and getting ready, it's off to the cruise terminal. And so we stopped off at Cruise Terminal 1, which is where Wonder of the Seas was parked, waiting for us to jump on board. Cathy and I got there very early, as a matter of fact. We were one of the first people there. 7,000 people were still getting off of the previous cruise when we showed up. And so we walked over to where we were supposed to be and stood in line. Now, standing in line is something you do a lot of, but there you can see Cathy, and all the way back, those are people standing in line waiting to get in, to check in, to get on to the Wonder of the Seas. We had the 10:30 time, so we were going to be one of the first to let in. They let the folks that have the suites and that type of thing, they let them in first, but we were right behind them. And in fact, we were in the very first row of people that got to go inside. Of course, once you do get inside and you are on board, what's the first thing you do? You head to the Windjammer Cafe and you get something to eat. Cathy opted for water and a slice of melon. This is our cabin. We had an interior cabin on this cruise, which we love because it is very dark at night. When you shut off the lights, there's absolutely no lights coming into that room. It is pitch black. So we usually keep the bathroom light on 24/7 just so we can, make sure that we have something to uh, gauge where we are in the room if we get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. But it was a very spacious room. You could see beyond the bed. There was a desk, there was drawers. We each had our own closet that you see there, and that's Cathy's closet. And there's a couch sitting over there. What you didn't see here in this picture is the TV that is sitting there. Unbelievably large TV in the room. Moving on, this was when we went down to dinner the first night. We realized we were sitting at a table for 10 people. And Cathy and I were the only ones sitting at this table for 10 people. Thought it was kind of interesting, but nonetheless, we were joined the next night by two ladies, one from Washington, D.C., and the other from Surprise, Arizona, believe it or not, right up the road from us. We travel 1,500 miles to get onto a ship, and we meet a woman that lives 5 miles from my house. Pretty incredible. Then it's off to explore a little bit more. This is Cathy outside of Playmakers. This is the sports bar. It's on a neighborhood that they call the Boardwalk. And there's Johnny Rockets on this. There's a hot dog stand on this. They've got a Sugar Beach candy store on this. This is where the Aqua Theater is. And there's a carousel. In fact, here's a look at the carousel. And you can see that right toward the end as you were to head back onto the ship itself. This is actually open air. If it's raining outside, it's going to rain in here. There were a couple of times we came out here when, yes, it did rain. Speaking of the Aqua Theater, this is what it looked like from our vantage point when we went to see the water show. It is a swimming pool. It is a deep swimming pool, and the reason for that is very clear. You're going to see that in a minute. The show is called Intense. Let's take a look and see what Intense is all about.
Oh my God. Holy shit.
Into you, my Father, there I sad hide. Curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage, against the dying of the light.
This is on deck 8. This is called the park. This is the park neighborhood. The cafe park is in there, and that's a free eatery. You can go in and they have a wonderful roast beef sandwich in there. They have inside balcony cabins. These cabins face the actual park itself, and there are live plants growing in there. There's a trellis area for a bar. They've got actually what they call it a rising tide bar. You're going to see pictures of it soon. But they have a rising tide bar that goes from deck 5 to deck 8. and goes right through the decks, and it's kind of neat to see. It really is kind of neat to see. So this is the look of it. This is if I look up a little further above the park, you can see it is open air. When it rains, it gets wet in there. But you can see that they have, this is the pool deck up on top, and you can, right at the very, very top there, you can see a water slide. We'll see more about that here in just a second. But in fact, here it is right here. There you go. They have tons of water slides on board this ship. Unbelievable. It really was amazing to see. And kids were sliding down these things all day long. Really, really. There's Cathy getting ready for one of our trivia sessions. She's doing, I think she was doing a word search on this one. This is in the Schooner Bar, and this was a favorite place for us to go for trivia contests. One of the interesting things is, for the men, not the women, but the men, when you went to the bathroom, you were greeted by different animals. And this one was a rooster. We have several of them here, as you can see. So as you're standing at the urinal, you're seeing all of these different animals with all of their different faces that are peeked down at you. Yes, a zebra and dogs and cats, and there was a gorilla right there, and the pig, of course, is there as well. Another interesting thing on this ship is they hid 4 astronauts. Not only found 2 of them, but this is one of them sitting up by the pool. The astronaut itself is not a real person. Okay, it's a statue, and we'll see the other statue. You want to see the other statue? Okay, here it is. And there you can see the astronaut peering down on deck 5. I was sitting there having coffee one morning, and the restaurant that we zoomed up from is Sorrento's Pizza. But you see the little red of his space helmet there. That's the astronaut getting ready. Here's Cathy resting by the pool. This is in the adults only pool. So much seating in this area, you'd never believe it. What you probably also won't believe, that's what it looked like outside. We were going through a storm when we did this. This was a huge thunderstorm. Listen. One of the neater things that we did on board the ship was we went to a sushi making class. Now, Cathy and I both like sushi. And so here you see the sticky rice. We've got the tempura shrimp, or the tempura fish. We've got English cucumbers. We've got the little round thing that you see there. The one is ahi tuna. And then we've got crab legs and shrimp. And the shrimp had been butterflied for us. We have a bamboo mat, and we have a knife. And so what we're going to learn to do, and you see the nori, that's the black thing in the white tray there by Cathy's Coke, and you put the rice on the nori, the rough side of the nori, and then put that side down, the rice side down, on the bamboo mat, and then roll it up. Once you've got all your fixings on there, it's really kind of neat. And as you take a look at this, what I find to be really interesting here is there's Cathy. She's ready to go. She's ready to go. They let you eat this. Cost $35 to come in and do this. Cost $35 to come and have lunch here. So not bad. Of course, they gave us all hats, which was nice. And then there's Cathy, and she has made 2 sushi rolls and a shrimp sashimi, and then a little kind of a cone, if you will, of nori with a piece of ahi tuna in that. That's what my finished plate looked like when I was done, and they cut it up and sprinkled sesame oil and all of the other stuff, soy sauce over the top of it. And we got to take that back down to the cabin, stick it in the refrigerator, and have it later. You can see the avocado and the wasabi, which I used in all of mine, and the ginger in the right above the plate. There I am, all happy. I've taken my sushi and I've made it. And yes, I ate it. And yes, it was very, very good. Cathy was very happy with her sushi as well. In fact, when we got home, we actually bought a sushi making kit. This is the Rising Tide Bar. Now, earlier I talked to you about this. This is the bar that starts on deck 5, goes up through deck 6, through deck 7, onto deck 8, which is where the park is. And it takes it about 5 minutes to go, and then it comes back down. And every half hour, it makes a round trip. And this is one look when you're at deck 8. And these are, it's a wine bar basically, but they have a full service bar on board. And this thing goes up and down. And that's what it does when it's in operation. And there's the bar. And people to come in here, you don't have to drink, but if you want to, you can do that as we go up and down. This is a picture of it from deck 6. So you can see it's already up off the ground and starting to make its way up, and which I thought was kind of cool. Here we are coming into St. Thomas. Now, we didn't get off the ship in St. Thomas. Cathy and I have been to St. Thomas half a dozen times. We've seen it backwards, forwards, and sideways and decided we're just going to stay on the ship and we're just going to be there and watch. We did take a look at some of the shops there with the orange roofs on it and didn't see anything that really intrigued us, so we decided just to stay on the ship. But that's St. Thomas for you right there. And this is the boardwalk at night. The red umbrellas are Johnny Rockets, and then Playmakers is off to the left. There's also a 10-story slide that starts on deck 16 and comes down to deck 6. That's what that white light is, just to the immediate left. And if you want to see some interesting stuff, I'll tell you, we've got interesting stuff. Watch this.
Come, let Zoltar tell you more. Your small payment will reap great benefits if you listen to these words of wisdom from the all-knowing Zoltar. The best place to find a helping hand is at the end of your arm. Yes, you must work for happiness. So go on, take your 2 hands, keep some money out of your pocket, and let Zoltar tell you more.
That's done.
Yes, Cathy's a big fan of Big, and so she had to get Zoltar and gave him $2. He gave her her fortune. Did it come true? I guess we're going to have to wait and see. Cathy's still not sure. All right, here's St. Martin's. This is one of the views from the pier when we docked. And there's Cathy in front of a couple of the mountains in the background. There's Rich in awe, in wonder, on wonder of the seas. And thought it was just kind of a kitschy little picture that I took. Or I didn't take it, Cathy took that, but that's a better look at the ship itself from quite a ways away. Now, one of the things on that ship that we really had a good time with was the Tap Factory. This is one of Cathy's favorite shows. I'm going to show you about a 2-minute tap dance, if you will, on what went on. But here it is, the Tap Factory. My favorite show that we saw of the 3, it's called Voices, and it was 50 minutes of total a cappella, done with 6 singers, 6 dancers, as well as videography of people that had pre-recorded their parts and they got put up on a wall, and you're going to see it. This is a little bit of Voices on Wonder of the Seas.
And some atmosphere voices. And we have our band our singers, our dancers, and our dreamers, with just a little touch of pure imagination. I'm calling a dreamer. I'm calling a dreamer. You don't sleep no more. Dream no more. Dreamer. Why don't you just dream again? And now, ladies and gentlemen,
Well, we've come to the end of our video. I want to thank each and every one of you for staying with us for all of this time and hope that you enjoyed it. It was a great vacation. It really was. We've got one coming up in December. We're going to be doing a Western cruise on Enchantment of the Seas. And in February and March, we're going to be on a 10-day Southern Caribbean adventure on Grandeur of the Seas, the oldest ship in the Royal Caribbean fleet. After that, we become Diamond members. And then it's off to Europe. Enjoy. And as we say goodbye, we take a look at Cathy, who's made a new friend, a topiary in the adult area. The sanctuary is what they call it. And here it is. So enjoy. It's been great having you along, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.